What's up, creatives, and welcome to another Romeo show. In tonight's show, we are going to be drawing a realistic eye and eyebrow in tonight's show. So what were you waiting for, folks? Let's roll the intro. What's up, everybody? How is everyone doing? Hope you've had a good week and good weekend. If you're new to the show, my name is Romeo. I am a sketch artist and life coach, helping people to focus on their careers, remove past trauma through art therapy sessions, mandala drawings, and Zentangle patterns. So on a Tuesday, I upload my art therapy videos and this show, and on a Wednesday, I do my mandala drawings. As I was saying last week, my videos are going to be cut down, so you're not going to be seeing too much of me talking. There's going to be a lot more video content. If you want to know more about myself, you can head over to my website, www.romeosketches.co.uk. Without further ado, we are going to be heading off because it's a bit of a long video today. We are going to be drawing, like I was showing you, this eye drawing. We're going to be drawing this eye picture with the eyebrows. The full tutorial is coming up. So what were you waiting for, folks? Let's roll the video. Okay, right, everybody. Hope everyone is all good. So let's get down to it. So we're going to be drawing this eye today. Now, the first thing I like to do is when drawing any type of image or anything like that, first thing I like to do first is just to examine and take a look at what I'm actually going to be drawing. So I like to see where all the darker areas are, where all the lighter areas are, and how the hair is forming and falling. So first thing I'll do is I'll have a look at the eye here, and I can see that we have on the iris area, we've got the pupil. Then just around the pupil, you've got the darker areas, and then around the edges you have another darker area. Then it's lighter in this part here, and then darker area there. I'm going to put a picture of this up just in the corner there, just so you can have a quick little look, so you can follow along and see what I'm doing, because it may not be as clear by showing my phone, because this is what I'm going to be using to draw the picture. And we also have the catch light here, which is going to be quite lighter. And then we have another part of the catch light, and then we have the reflection from the eyelashes. I tend to look to see here as well, there is a light area forming here on the bottom lip of the eye here as well. It's a little bit lighter in the actual eye itself and the darker areas. We have it darker under a medium shade just below the eye, and here it's lighter. Then we'll move on to the top part of the eye here, so you can see where the light, so the light is coming from this direction. It's lighter here and here, and just on this part of the eyebrow it's darker here. A medium shade just on the top part of the eyebrow. Here is also a bit more of a medium colour. Here it's just a little bit more lighter, bit more dark around towards top of the eye, top of the eyelid, and then on the actual eyelid itself you've got this darker line forming here. And then we look to see how the eyelashes are flowing as well. So they're coming up from this part, they come round and up, moving in this direction, and then slowly as we move towards the center of the eye, they tend to come a little bit more central, with a few sort of coming over to the right hand side, and then the rest form into the right hand side there. And then it's a lot more darker in this area through here, so we'll be using a darker pencil through there, and it's just that a little bit more lighter on this area. And then the bottom eyelashes are a little bit more sporadic, they are, and they also come with a few crisscrossed ways starting, and then slowly moving over downwards direction, forming over to the right hand side, still coming in a more of a crisscross direction. We're not going to concentrate too much on the skin texture, but you can see here it's lighter, darker, medium shade, and the darker areas through there. So I like to have a look, and obviously the eyebrows, we check out the eyebrows as well. They're forming in this type of direction, moving towards the center, and then on this part they tend to flow in an arc, and then they start to come down into that direction there. So that's the way I like to look at a picture first, seeing where all the darker areas are, the lighter shades, especially on the eye area, and the pencils that I'll be using. So the tools. So for around the edges of the eye, we're going to be using a 2B pencil. For the darker areas, a 4B. A 4B pencil. Most of the eyelashes and the rest of their hair, a mechanical pencil that has a fine nib on the end. I like to use these ones because you don't have to keep resharpening them. It's always good to start off with nice sharp pencils as well. So a mechanical pencil always constantly keeps a finer nib to it. And then to blend, a blending stump or just a piece of tissue which we will fold over, and a dry brush. I may not use all of these, but I've got them there just in case I do want to use them. So we have a dry brush as well to use. And then to make the highlights, a mono eraser, great tool to use for when you want to create the highlights. A regular eraser as well. And a kneadable eraser too. Like I say, I may not use all of these, but they're there just in case I want to use them, especially for like creating a little bit more highlights or anything like that, just to sort of dab around. But I'll go through all of this. So these are most of the equipment that I'll be using, and just a regular brush here, just to brush away any of the residue from the eraser. So I have already pre-made. I work on a grid basis, I do. On this particular eye, I'm using a 3x3 grid. Already pre-made my grid pattern. This is a 6 inches, so it's each box is 6 inches, so it's 18 by 18 to create our our 9 box square. And the first thing we're going to be doing is starting off by seeing where the eye, we'll start off with the eyebrow first. I'm going to draw a bold part of the eye. We can see that it just starts off from this part of the square. Around about here it is. So we're just I'm not going to be creating any of the hairs or anything like that at the moment. This is just purely just the outline that we are going to be creating first for the eyebrows. Now you can use a lighter pencils like a 2H. I'm using a bit more of a dark one because I want it to show up. On the screen for you. So we're just going to bring the eyebrow up, creating this. If I bring this down here, we're going to be creating this type of shape of the eyebrow. So it comes up and it's just a little bit towards the center of the first line. We're going to come up, and then it just starts to peak down slightly there and curves round. So this is the 2B pencil that I am using at the moment. Then we're going to create that little point area. It's going to come round. And then back down towards this area here, and then we're just going to carry it all the way through towards the tip, which falls about here. So that's our eyebrow shape. Now you necessarily won't be using a darker pencil like I was saying to create the actual outline, but I'm doing this purely so that it benefits for yourself, so you can see what I'm doing. Now we come to top part of the eye. So it pretty much falls about here. This is going to be the crease of the top of the eye. That comes over and round, and then just slightly peaks off towards the center. We're in a bit of an arc shape. About here. Stops about there, it does. And then forms more of a curve towards about here. Now, most of my tutorials that I've done for drawing, I'm a self-taught artist, not been to any sort of art schools or anything like that. So I basically teach in a talking way where, you know, I'm not very technical in what I say or anything like that. So it's a lot of time. Obviously, I also have a piece of paper here as well, just to rest my hand on when I'm going to be doing a lot more of the details and things like that. So it's just a pure piece of paper there. This is so to stop any sort of smudging, and also not getting any of the oils from my fingers onto the page, because you don't want your fingerprints left on there, because when you come to shading and you get a fingerprint on there and you've got a shade on there, you're not going to be able to erase that fingerprint away. So it's always best to have a piece of paper under your hand when you're drawing anything like this. I'm just going to move this up a bit. You may not see the picture that I'm drawing of the phone, on my phone, but the picture in the corner is what I'm going to be. As you can see, I'll put the picture up in the corner, and you can, if you want to follow along, you can use that picture there. You can. I may add a picture to my website if you want to sort of download the picture. It's a picture I've just downloaded off the internet. Okay, now we're going to create the almond shape of the eye. So where this peak stops, about here, we're going to carry that one, forming a nice almond shape. It's not going to be, you can see the width from the crease to where the top of the eyelashes start. That's going to be our guideline for our eye. So it comes up and curves round. And stops about here. It does. The rest of is the eyelashes. So it stops about here. And then we come round. Pretty much towards the bottom of our first little line. Now the eyelash, you got a couple of points of the eye. You got the base of the eye you have, and then you got the eyelid itself at the base of it, where the eyelashes start from. They don't start from where the base of the eye is. They pretty much start, if I show you here, you've got the bottom of the eye here, and then you've got this part of the eyelid itself, where the rest of the eyelashes all start from. So keep that in mind when drawing an eye as well. You don't start the eyelashes from where the base of the eye is. So that's now going to come back up. And it just starts to peak off into a curve around about here. Then we have the tear duct area, which is about here. Around about there. So that's the base of the eye. Now we're going to do where the eyelashes rest, which is about here. Curve that one round. That comes around here. And then it just peeks off into a corner where the tear duct is. So that's pretty much the outline of the eye. Now we're going to go for the pupil itself. Now you can see where the curvature of the pupil itself is. It's not a complete circle. The base, it cuts off from the top of the eye and then just slightly curves around towards the bottom of the eye. So it's not a complete full circle. It cuts off from the top and then the rest of it is curved around. So we're going to start it from about here. So a few millimeters away from this line. So we bring it round. Coming around into a bit of a circle. And then just tips off to the top of the eye here, top of the eyelid where the eyelashes rest. Then we have the eyelash, then we have the pupil itself, which is pretty much central in the eye. And we also have, I'm just going to zoom in here now, and we also have now where the catch light forms. It forms about here. It's an oval shape from where the photographer's light was. And then we also have the reflection light from there on there as well. I'm just going to erase that part of the pupil out using the mono eraser. And there we have pretty much the outline of our eye. And then we'll start filling in the rest of the eye now, we will. So first what we're going to start off with doing is filling in pupil itself. So we'll fill that in with our 2B pencil. So far I've been using a 2B pencil. Towards when I start to want to fill in all the darker areas, I will switch to my 4B pencil. Just to blend that through, I'm going to use my blending stump. That makes it a little bit more softer and fills in any gaps you may have missed when colouring this in, when shading this in. Also makes the lines that you have made when filling this in a little bit more softer as well. So now that we have done that, I'm going to start erasing some of my lines away using my mono eraser, especially around the eye area. We don't need those now. That's a good thing about these mono erasers, is that you can erase out these sort of lines and any other sort of details that surround it, so that instead of using your large area, you might be erasing things out that you don't want to erase. Now we're going to start shading in. Now we can see here, as you can see, the base of the eye where it's that little bit more lighter, so we won't be using that, so we can just create a little highlight. This is all going to be filled in again, but we just want to just create just a tiny bit of a highlight through there, so we don't want to be using our, just through that area there. We don't want to be using that part there to be shading in of our eye. So now we're just going to, using the 2B pencil, just start shading in. I'm using the tip of my pencil to shade and not using the edge to shade in. I find I have a bit more control with the shading in when I'm using the tip of the pencil. Once I've filled this all in, I'll go over it with my blending stump or with the dry brush. I tend to use different materials for different areas, depending on what type of texture I want to create. So for eyes and skin, I will tend to use the dry brush because it gives it more of a softer blend. And then for harder areas like materials and eyelashes, things like that, I tend to use the dry brush. And then once I've done using the dry brush, I may go over it with a blending stump as well, just to sort of tweak little bits. But I don't use it straight away because it can cause sort of damage to your paper. The paper I'm using is just regular normal card paper. It's not the normal paper that I normally use. I tend to use Bristol ball paper, which is a little bit more smoother. But for my demonstration purposes, I'm using just regular, ordinary card. Now with our dry brush, start smoothing out the lines. This is a synthetic brush that I'm using. It's one that I use for all of my drawings that I do. You can see that the blend from a dry brush, it really gives it a nice soft blend to it as well, and just fills in and blends in all your pencil lines. That bottom catch light is just that slightly a little bit more lighter, but we'll make that a little bit more lighter, we will, once we've filled in our darker areas, which we should do now. So using our 4B pencil, just going to go around the edges part here, just to fill that in that little bit more darker, so you have that little bit more definition to it. Always moving in the curve of the eye, so it's a little bit more darker underneath here as well, especially that top part of the catch light, and then the edges on this end. Now if you see, I'm not doing the whole width of the eye. The rest of all that I will do with the blending stump, and it just peeks around. So the transition from being from dark to light is a little bit more natural looking. So we've done that. I'm just going to fill in the pupil with our 4B pencil. And then just slightly around the edges of it where it's a little bit more darker. I'm just going to fill that in. I haven't created any of the details yet. That will come in a little while. Now with our blending stump, smooth in those areas, start to blend them in. Add a few more, make it a little bit more wider. Just creating that sort of line, starting to create that tiny bit of a line effect where we'll start creating the details in the eye. So that's that part of the eye done. And how was that video for you guys? I know it was a bit of a long video, but I had to get everything into that video. I didn't want to make it. I didn't want to put the. I didn't want to do a speed time video of it where you just saw it all speeded up or anything. I wanted to do it in depth, and step by step, so that you guys can draw a realistic eye using graphite pencil. I'm going to be drawing more of these type of videos now. More of these tutorials are going to be coming up, as well as my Zentangle pictures and my Mandela drawings as well. So we're going to be doing a few more little courses on this. Obviously, we've drawn the eye. We're going to have a nose, lips, other textures, fabrics, all of that sort of thing will be coming up in future videos. And that's the end of the show, folks. Thank you all again for watching. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, click that bell, and turn on notifications so you know when I upload a new video. My name is Romeo. This is Romeo Sketches. Signing off. Peace out.